DB, pension transfer advice, and low-cost options. That is what I'm going to be covering in today's video, outlining how the industry works, what you should be doing in terms of costs and charges, and finally, really, how you can maximize or minimize, I should say, what costs you have when working with a financial advisor considering to transfer a DB scheme. For all of you who are watching, please hit the subscribe button below. Only around 11% of those watching the channel are subscribed. This is genuinely the very best thing you can do to help me here at Cameron James. And we promise to invest more time and energy in delivering more free educational content for everyone to watch. Okay, so let's get straight into it. If you have a cash equivalent transfer value, it means you have a defined benefit scheme. If that value is over £30,000, for any of you DIY investors out there, you will be unpleased to hear, you already probably know by now, regulatory, you must take financial advice. You cannot just go and DIY and do it yourself. The amount of inquiries we get at Cameron James, people saying, hi, I'm done on my phones, I just need a piece of paper from a financial advisor and then I can move ahead with my pension transfer. No, it works the opposite direction. You need to go through a full advice process first. Now, one of the most important topics to point out from the beginning is cost. Cheap defined benefit pension transfer advice does not exist. The reason for this is it's an extremely complicated, time-consuming, and high liability process for the financial advisor giving it. So in today's video, I'm not going to be able to say you can get it done for 50 quid or £1,000 or whatever it is. It's just impossible. Anybody who offers something so cheap or free or anything like that, run a country mile because it costs thousands of pounds for companies to do this work. So what you need to do though is be careful and make sure the money you're paying, you are getting good value in return for that. Here at Cameron James, for full transparency, at the time of recording, our minimum DB report fee is £3,750 from the pension transfer specialist, and we then have an implementation charge of 1%, 2%, or 3% upfront, depending upon the size of the pension pot. Now, what you need to be careful with though is you need to ask your financial advisor directly from the beginning, if the outcome of my report is a negative, what are my options with you? Because if you go and spend a fixed fee report of say £3,000, £5,000, 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever it is, and at the end point, you get a report which says you should not transfer your DB scheme, which if you've done any reading by now, I'm sure even a cursory glance at ChatGPT will be able to tell you that 99 times out of 100 at the moment, we are seeing advice reports come back as a negative. Why? Well, it's kind of obvious. You have a guaranteed income for life, which will be indexed and grow inside your DB scheme, and you have to do nada for the rest of your life to have that guaranteed income. Moving it into, for example, a SIP, you obviously are taking market risk there. So for a pension transfer specialist to say, oh, I think it's a jolly good idea to move away from your guaranteed income to a SIP, very few and far between. Normally, if people have critical illness, less than 12 months to live, or very, very good rationale. When I say good rationale, things such as I want to pass it on to my spouse, or I want to pass it on to my beneficiaries, or I want to pass it on and do something different, or I want to take more equity market risk. Whilst they are good rationale, that is probably nowhere near good enough for an authorized and regulated pension transfer specialist. Not a good one anyway. But in terms of cost, you need to work it out. What I would say is shortlist financial advisory firms that you think are credible and clearly ask them upfront, in advance, in your first meeting with them, whatever it is, what would be the full cost for me to complete DB pension transfer advice with your firm or through a pension transfer specialist and for the implementation? And ask them, can you do the implementation? If the report comes back as negative, am I still allowed to proceed with you? Can I be an insistent client with yourself and your firm? Or would you just tell me, no, the report is negative and you can't go any further forward? I've had a lot of clients come through here at Cameron James and they say, I got ripped off. And I'm like, okay, how did you get ripped off? They're like, well, I paid 2% for an advice report on my £500,000 DB. It cost me £10,000 and then I couldn't do anything with my pension. And I'm like, what do you mean? They said, well, the report was negative and they told me it's negative, you can't proceed. Now, that client deems that £10,000 to have been, they got themselves ripped off. Now, the financial advisory firm provided them with the regulated advice, which shows them it was not in their interest to transfer out of the DB scheme. So, that could also be viewed as very valuable advice, but perhaps if this client's intention was simply to transfer their DB scheme and they weren't really interested in the outcome of the report, then it could be argued that £10,000 maybe wasn't the best money spent. And once it's been spent, you then have to, if you want another CETV within a 12-month period from your DB scheme, you normally have to pay for that, anywhere between £250 to £500 per year once VAT is included. So really important from the beginning with cost to work out exactly what you're going to get in return and understand that from your financial advisor. If you want to have a conversation with one of our financial advisors here at the company, find a day and a time which is suitable for you to have a good chin wag and chat about your DB scheme. You don't have to say you're choosing Cameron James. That's not how it works, but reach out and have a conversation. See, do we really know what we're talking about when it comes to DB pensions? How many CETVs are we working on currently? Get a flavor and an understanding of any company that's going to be involved in a life-changing decision for you, which is moving away from potentially a defined benefit, guaranteed, safeguarded, gold-plated income for life. And as always, take care of your UK pension assets.